And we're live. O, diba? Happy, happy, happy Halloween to everyone. Magandang umaga, tanghali, gabi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. At ito ang Icy Fit live stream. O, diba? Happy Halloween! God, guys. Ayan, happy Halloween to everyone. And of course, o, diba? I'm so conflicted if I'm going to be scary tonight. Like this voice. Or I should stick to who I am. But before anything else, I want to welcome Amy Villeras. Welcome again to Icy Fit family. And because of that, thank you to you again and again. And this is for you. Of course, you're a member. I have to do this. Yes, Ojiva. And syempre, si Christopher Drain. Mega, mega love shout out to you. I still don't know what to do. Ayan. And of course, the Diyosa ng Sisikoy, ay nag-Diyosa ng Sisikoy, Diyosa ng Bahaghari, Sisikoy. Mega, mega love shout out to you. Keeping up with the Sean and Irene, thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Ayan, if you're gonna like this segment of our Halloween special tonight, please do make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel. Every year we do this thing. Oh, diba? I was wondering why I don't see you in my lives. It's 5 a.m. for you when I go live, or 5 a.m. for you when I go live. Oh, but keeping up with the Sean, thank you for always remembering. Mwah, ayan. And of course, to my BFF, the one and only Rian's Kitchen at iba pa member support group, thank you. And of course, to Rian's Ayan, accounts. Thank you. And of course, Wilma Aborita family. Happy Halloween to you, my dear Aborita family. Thank you for always remembering Icy Fit and Tamsak. Mega love shout out po Ma'am Icy. Gorgeous. Did I? I feel like, like this is half and this is half. See? I kind of like do this like this. So there's two side, which is serious. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. And then the other side, two faces of Icy Fit. Okay, guys. I'm getting serious, guys, okay? Because today is Halloween. Ayan, you know what Halloween means. Wow, looks so pretty. I do. I don't scare you guys. Ayan, I thought I'm gonna scare you today. I was thinking, but I was so conflicted of what am I gonna do today. But of course, Ayan, you're gonna have two faces today of doing this voice. And then, of course, the normal one. Diba? And Felipe G! Ayan, mega, mega love shout out. Happy, happy Halloween to you as well. Ayan, thank you guys. Asan na yung ring ko? Where's my ring? Ayan. Ayan. Of course, o, diba? And thank you, Sisi Koy. Ayan, thank you naman sa you dyan. I do see you, Sisi Koy. O, diba? Ayun. And of course to Robert Wayne, as known as Father Ramen Robert Booyah. Ayan. Hooyah. Ayan. Happy Halloween. It's Halloween so I can spare ano daw, spare. I can scare myself. Oh, diba? I thought it's like I spare myself. Oh, ayan. And of course, oh, diba, my eye. I do have three eyes today, guys. Ayan. And of course, to my admin. O, di ba, hindi siya late today. Admin, happy Halloween. Ayan, malaglag ang ating damit. Yeah. And hi, Felipe Jin, of course, to Gandara Jensky vlog. I do miss you, girl. Happy Halloween to you, Jensky. Wow. Nice. Diba? Ayan. And hi, Patu Ramen from Felipe G and Rian's Kitchen, Jensky vlog and admin. Ayan. Oh, diba? So tonight, as every one of you know, ayan, it's Halloween. Ayan. So part of Halloween is of course, paying our respect. Well, at least in Filipino culture, it's paying respect to the people in our lives that are, like nauna na. O, diba? Biglang gana. I don't know if I'm gonna be serious or what, guys. I'm still trying to figure out. Ayan. I'm still trying to figure out what is gonna be the theme. But ayan. So we all know that Halloween is where we scare ourselves. And of course, it's time for remembering the past or the people that left us, it's one of those things. So it's kind of like, but of course, it's also time for scary and horror stories. So today, please do me a favor, share this live stream to your social media and community because I do want to know your stories, your scary stories, your culture, like what folklores do you like and have you ever experience anything supernatural, paranormal in your lives. And we're going to talk about the elements or the entities, because I came from both worlds, Japan and Philippines. So I'm going to share some of those folklores or entities or like monsters and stuff like that I kind of like learned and had like stories. I'm going to share that with all of you guys tonight. So if you do have any experience, anything at all, there's no judgment. Tonight is the night where we're going to talk about scary stuff. O, diba? Ayan. Ayan, diba? May pag pa. But of course, ayan. And without ayan. And of course to Shirley, yo, 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 and Josa, diba? Admin, Jensky, ayan. And mega, mega love shout out po sa lahat from Wilma Aborita. Ayan. So, for tonight, it's going to be Filipino and Japanese culture. And I'm pretty sure some of the folklores or some of the entities that I'm going to talk about, you also have the same things that happened to you or to the same stuff or like same entity that the same kind of like, like have similarities on your own culture. So if you are not from Philippines and from Japan, and you think that I'm going to share to you some stuff that you also have on your own culture, please do share it because I do want to know. I like horror stories. I like scary stories. Personally, I've never had any experience, even with ghosts, I do not. But from my mother's side, I do have a lot and ton of stories because as far as I know, I come from my mother's side, from my mother's side where it feels like, they have a lot and tons of stories about ghosts, entities, elements, supernatural, paranormal stuff. And I'm going to share that with you tonight. Diba? So for tonight, that's what we're going to talk about. Happy Halloween special from Icy Fit. Diba? Ay, nagugulat talaga ako sa sarili ko, guys. I don't know what to do. Diba? Ayan. So, Rians, ay may pagganon. Yes, diba? Nice theme. This is real terrified than Valak. What's Valak? What's Valak means? I don't know what Valak. Valak in Tagalog, it means pambalak. O, diba? Nakalimutan ko, guys. May pagganon, yes. Pag-uusapan natin yan. And of course, it's also a multi-live stream. It's also a multilingual live stream. And katatakutan ba for today? Yes. Ang katatakutan. Ayan. In Tagalog, katatakutan, scary stuff. We're going to talk about scary stuff. So from time to time, my voice will change, guys. So, you know. Oh, 'di ba nabaliw? Ayan. But, anyways, guys, ayan, we're going to start now the night and we're going to start with one of the Filipino culture folklores that we have and I'm going to share it with you right now. O, 'di ba? Let's see. BFF, sino yung nasa likod mo? Or this? Or this? Boy, you know what? There's actually, before I even share anything, guys, actually, back in the day, when, the webcams, when, internet is happening, one of the things that, like when you live alone and, it's the first time you actually have an access to webcams and, like camera, you know, and there's things like, there's one point where sometimes because I have a very, very makulit na imahinasyon, I have a very, very, like active imagination. And I've also heard a lot of stories about this, guys, web, internet. Internet is a lot of stories. But when I was like, may experience ako sa Mumu. Oh, 'di ba? Ayan, sige, share mo yan, Jensky. So, one of the things that I was actually scared before when I do, have an access on webcams is like sometimes when I was talking to my mom, when I talk to my mom like midnight or like nighttime, I would always scare her. Like I would always tell her like there's somebody in the back. Who's that in the back? Stuff like that. Because I feel like, when you had the first access on webcam, and especially if, you're talking to someone at nighttime, which usually is what happens, sometimes it feels like somebody will just kind of pop up in the back. So I don't know if you have that kind of experience, but sometimes there's one point in my friend's life, like she told me this story that she actually had that kind of experience where somebody kind of like, like walk past in the back and it scared the shit out of her that I think it traumatized her not to kind of like use webcam for a long, long time. Buti na lang hindi ako matatakutin. Ooh. I 'Di ba? Ba't natawa ka? Ayan. Does same happen? The mystery, right? Yes, mysteries, everything goes, the things that you cannot explain. Those are the questions. And also another one. Truyan CC. Yes. So one of the things is that. And of course, in the Philippines as well, we have this kind of like, like kind of it's it's like a myth, or it's not a myth. I wouldn't say it's a myth, but it's almost like a saying, old people saying that when somebody dies, some moth or like a butterfly, if it's like a black butterfly or a brown butterfly, it's a person. And if it goes to your house or near you, it means somebody or some person in your life that actually is visiting you, because usually we see butterflies but not brown or not black. It's usually colorful butterflies. So there's an old saying in the Philippines: if someone, or if a butterfly or a moth that is color black or brown came into your house or kind of like around you, it means someone that passed away that is very dear to you. And I had that this afternoon. So I was thinking, who is it? Well, I do hope, he or she, like come pop up into my dream. But, I don't know if it's because, you usually remember those things because of the season, or because it was told to you and passed on generations to generations. But I think, it's so rare for me to see a butterfly that is black. It actually scared the shit because I was like going to hang my clothes outside, and there's this black thing, and I thought it's just kind of like a cloth. So I kind of like shove it, and then it flew. But it keeps around the area where so I'm pretty sure it's someone that I love, that, passed away, who's visiting, which is kind of nice because, if someone is visiting you like that, it's pretty nice. It means you're important, o, 'di ba? Pinaninindigan niya yung dahan-dahan yung salita niya. Yes. I'm trying. I'm trying, BFF. I'm trying to be professional today because it's Halloween special. So my voice is going to be like this throughout the live stream. O, 'di ba? Biglang may tawa. Like a witch, o, 'di ba? So I'm gonna try to start laughing like a witch, you guys, okay? Okay. Just go with the flow. We're gonna stick to this theme. Okay. Brown and black, madalas sa akin. Yes. And then there's also a story where when I was young, when I was young, when I get, because I don't know what, but you can ask my mom, this is a true story, you guys. But in Indonesia, always use a totem to manipulate the ghost to a hatred target. Ooh, we have those. We call them witches. Oh, diba? There is always happened to someone. Yes, I'm pretty sure Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines have the same culture when it in regards to like ghosts and like voodoo or something like that. We also have the same thing like that. And mega love shout out Felipe G from admin Rian's kitchen. Three butterflies. Did you had a visit from three butterflies? And yay! I mean, which totem to use to manipulate ghosts to kill a target? Ooh. Oh, that's bad. O, 'di ba? Si hubby ko, lagi ako dinadalaw. Black butterfly. Aw, did he bring flowers? O, sabay ganun. Sorry naman, BFF. Ako din, lagi may dumadalaw na big butterfly. Who was it? So I'm pretty sure, there are just, there's couple of people that I could see visiting me, but it's nice to kind of remember those people when it comes to like Halloween. It's nice to remember them, the memories you've shared. But also it's sad because it means you cannot really see them. It's just a memory. But This is not a story. This is not a sad story, guys. We're going to scare each other, okay? Ayan. Doon siya nakatambay sa mga flowers na tanim ko. Oh, 'di ba? Oh, 'di ba? Para hindi na siya gumastos, ganun yun. BFF. Ayan. But also, when I was younger, I used to, when I get fever, when I get feverish, I do have like, when I get sick, my mom always tell a story, and also my grandmother always tell a story about me always having a butterfly every time I'm sick. And they always think it's my grandma from my father's side. It's like all the time when I get sick, there's always, and I always see my grandma always trying to like getting angry at the butterfly because in the Philippines sometimes it could be a bad omen, like they want to take you or something like that, especially when you're a kid. You Because I do have a convulsion before, that's why I'm crazy. That makes sense. Right? But like those things, if you're a kid and you have a fever, sometimes it could be really really dangerous. So sometimes people or old saying, if there's some butterfly, I don't remember if it's brown or black, which is the bad one, but usually when that happens it's something like that. Yeah, I remember those article, like in 1981, Connecticut, US. The tragedy is happened to Glatzel family including Anne Johnson. O, diba? Ayan tayo magbasa guys today. Ayan. David Glatzel was possessed by a witch totem to manipulate a human. Ooh. But the ghost is moving to Anne Johnson's body. Ooh, o, diba? Am I doing all right, guys? Ayan. I really don't know what to do, guys. Do you like it like that? So I can also make you sleepy. It's like midnight stories. Are you afraid of the dark? Ayan. Magkalabasan na yung kung sino-sino mga lumaki sa ganyan. Ayan. But like I do grew up on that era. Are you afraid of the dark? Goosebumps. What else? Stuff like that, when I was a little kid. And of course, yeah, you sound spooky. Yes. Ah, 'di ba? Witch na witch lang. Oh, 'di ba? I'm trying to have my witch laugh, but I feel like I couldn't really get into it because I feel funny. You might think I get crazy, guys, but it's also the theme of today, getting crazy. Ayan. Oh, Robert likes a lot of horror stories. 'Di ba? Lorraine and Ed Warren is busted to the ano, who's tried to kill the Glatzel family, and the mystery can solve first thing first. Yes, Lorraine and Ed Warren, the stars of The Conjuring. Those are the people that really, really is fascinating. Ah, diba? Ayan. Are you afraid of the dark? Hindi ko alam yan. The Midnight Society. Ah, diba? And of course, to Edsy Medina. Ayan ang mega mega love shoutout natin for today, guys. Ha? Ayun. Diba? Ayan, so first things first, ayan, we're going to talk about Filipino culture. And one of the things that I don't think I've heard of, because I don't think I've heard of this, but I'm pretty sure, in America, they also have some sort of this type of, like same thing. The code of horror is the devil made me do it. Oh, diba? The devil made me do it. Ganon. Matakot naman yung sa basag. Siyempre, may ganun, di ba? Ayan. So, first off, guys, ayan, from the land of the Philippines, ayan, we have something what we called an element and an entity. And if you ever, have an experience of these people, please let me know. This is what they call tambal. Oh, diba? I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of Tambal, you know. But according to this, Ayan, and of course, credit to the owner of this, the scariest elemento in the Philippines is the Tambal, Ayan. These sneaky creatures often lives in the forest or are always on the lookout for people they can steal. They usually take the form of their victim, aiming to replace them in the real world while the real human stays lost in the forest until someone fetches them. Tambals are scary because they will gain your trust and will do everything, even kill, just to live in the human world. So, I don't know if tambal is the right word, but I've heard about this, like in the Philippines, when you do hiking, when you do hiking, sometimes they would always tell you, like, if you ever, like lost your way in the forest, they would tell you to kind of like take off your clothes and wear it, call that, wear it back, like wear it reversed, if that things happen. Because sometimes if you are one of those people that get lost in the woods, you will never ever going to get back home because they would just play with you. And I think maybe tambal is one of those things, doppelganger. Yes, like in other countries, it's probably doppelganger, which is also in Japan, we also have doppelganger. And the thing is, because like I was studying in a Catholic school, every Halloween, I remember it's always scary because, like most of the time, it's usually devil and stuff like that. But if you are studying in a Catholic school, usually there's a lot of stories like related to nuns and like the myths and stuff like that. And one of the things that actually is very prevalent in my school before was like the story of doppelgangers, like because we have a huge building and it's like four corners of the building, so before you get to the other building it'll probably take you a lot of minutes. So there were always people would tell other students like, did I just saw you a minute ago on the other side or something like that? And then you're here. Did you ever go there? Stuff like that. So that actually happens. And I don't even know if that's real. I don't have any kind of like firsthand experience. It's usually more of like people that would tell me, like, I just saw you in the other one. Have you been there? And then I'll tell them I'm not. I didn't even go to that part of the building, but they would tell me like they just saw me there. So there are stories like that, about doppelganger. And, like doppelganger, naka-experience na ako si Rian. Oh, Jensky, agoy katakot. Yes, matatakot ka talaga pag nalaman mo, di pala talaga yun ang tao. Yes, o, 'di ba? Kailangan tapatan ng mirror para malaman mo yung true identity. So according to Rian, when it comes to doppelganger, you have to always have a mirror so that if you think they're a doppelganger, you would check them if they have a reflection. If they don't have a reflection, that means they're not a real person. Ayan. And board vlogger, magandang buhay to you as well. Rian's Kitchen, Yahoo! O, diba? This is how my tone's going to be the whole. Let's see if I can do the whole. No, because I feel like, it's too much. O, diba? Ay, ay, Diyos ko mio. Ayan. And thank you, Amy. Ayan, admin, Yahoo, and board. And of course, if you want to share and you want to come up on the screen, please let me know. Ayan, yan, the keyword. Ayan, sabihin nyo lang at ibababa ko ang hagdan. O, diba? Hello, friends. Ayan. Hello, 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 hello. And of course, keeping up with the Sean and Irene. Hola, hola, hola to you, keeping up with the Sean. Thank you for coming. And akala ko, Mister ko, kinakatok ako sa CR. Nagsalita pa. Paglabas ko ng CR, tinanong ko Mister ko, bakit siya kumatok? Sabi niya, kararating lang daw niya galing store. So according to Jensky, one time she was in the toilet and somebody knocked on the toilet and she thought it was her husband. So she said, "Why are you knocking on my door?" But the husband says, "I just came home." O, diba? Tama ba yung kwento ko? Ah, 'di ba? Kaloka. Ayan, ilaban mo yan, IC. Wala pa din kami kuryente. Pisti, gusto ko makipagtakutan. 'Di ba? Ay, mas matatakot ka niya walang kuryente. Yo, thumbs up, my dear. Thank you, Amy. Mwah. Thank you to you. Ayan, and mega love shout out, Rians. Galing. Ah, galing ba? Oh, sige, I'll try. So we're gonna get better as, as the moment pass. I'll try to stick with it. I'll try to make it as scary as possible. But sometimes I can't stop to laugh. So if I laugh, I'll try to laugh like a witch. Oh, diba? Katakot naman yun, Jensky. Sisi, kahit ako mag-isa lang dito sa house. So for people who are alone in their house, don't be terrified because someone is always going to be there for you. You don't know they're already in your back. Scary naman kwento mo, dear. Ayan. So those are the stories that actually kind of like nakakakita na rin ako ng tikbalang at kapre nung bata pa ako. Ay, kuy, and Mylene mapili. O, diba? Oh. Kaloka tayo, guys. Bala kayo dyan. Matakot kayo dyan. Ayan. So, our mega, mega love shout out for tonight is going to be like that. So, Mylene Mapile, mega, mega love shout out to you. O, diba? Naloko na. O, diba? Ayan. Basta ganun yun, guys. Ayan. And another sharing, ayan. We're also gonna have another sharing from Board Vlogger. Share ko lang. This is real story of my friend and they actually have a photo of this creature. Yung anak ng kaibigan ko palagi nagkakasakit pero di malaman ano yung cause ng sakit ng anak nila. And ayun, my continuation, guys. So while Board Vlogger is continuing his story, I'm going to translate it in English. So this is from Board Vlogger. Ayan. This is a real story of Board Vlogger's friend, and they actually have a photo of this creature, which hopefully he will send to us. Ayan. So his friend's kid always getting sick. So the kid is always getting sick and they don't know what the cause or what the source of the sickness is. So one day they took a family picture and a very creepy creature was behind their daughter. A demon. Pinakita ni yun sa pastor namin nang nilabot sila sa nakita nila. So I don't know if you guys ever had those types as well. Because, like there's a lot of things happening that sometimes they would always tell, like if you ever known about orbs, those little things, like it's like a white thing in the picture or in the video or in any sort of like that. But sometimes, according to the paranormal world or supernatural world, sometimes those orbs means spirits, spirits that we couldn't see in our eyes, we couldn't see visually. So when it comes to pictures or video, they kind of like show themselves in orbs, like white stuff. So if ever you have a picture, please check your pictures sometimes. And if there's like orbs, it's white stuff in the picture, it means there's someone that wants to take a picture with you. Ganon. Ayan. Hala! And the church decided to keep the photo and don't ever show it to anyone else. Oh, takot naman yun. Don't I don't even like, like there's also some stories as well that sometimes when you are like in the Philippines as well, there's also this whole old saying like if you see a person walking or if you see or be with a person in the picture and you cannot see their head, it means they're gonna die. And it's either you have to tell them that you couldn't see their head. And the thing is, this is one of the stories that I kind of like wanted to share, but it's kind of like a very long story if I could. But for whatever reason, I feel like one of the things that I feel like, like premonition, is another thing that's scary. Because usually premonitions are things that will happen bad with you. And there's also like another story. This is actually personal story. Ayan. And but before we do that, ayan, it's really scary. Ooh. And nag-cast out sila ng spirit sa bahay at sa buong family. Dalaga na yung bata ngayon. Pero during the process, they've seen a black, huge cat image that is coming out in the body of the kid. And another thing is, like one of the premonitions as well in the Philippines is like if you go out of your way, if you're walking, outside, if you're walking outside, if you're going to places, if you've seen a black cat, it means don't go wherever you're supposed to go. Just go back home because it means a bad premonition. Something bad will happen to you. But in Japan, usually black cat is not bad luck. So, like different culture, different meanings. It happens to my mom. Which one? Which one happened to your mom, admin? Yes. So another one, another premonition that I actually feel like, at some point I actually do feel like I do believe in this premonition where when you see a person or somebody told you that they couldn't see your head, you have to take an extra careful for the day is because personal experience, like I have a friend who passed away, and of course, it's a long, long, long time. And one of the premonitions, there's a lot of premonition happened in that particular day, in that particular moment with us, you know. Like one of the premonition actually happened is like when we're supposed to go hiking, someone actually saw my friend walking without a head, and it's not just, one person that says that, it's multiple persons that says that. And I was with her, most of that day before going to the hiking. But because we're kids and, like sometimes you don't really, when you're excited, you don't really think about these bad premonitions. You don't really think about this, like old saying because you're so skeptical, you're excited, you want to go, but at the same time, we did go, and that's one of the premonitions that I feel like, at looking back sometimes, what if we didn't go? What if we actually followed all those premonitions that happened on that day? I wonder if she is still alive to this day, stuff like that. So sometimes premonitions, old sayings, usually I don't believe in it, but sometimes there's really nothing wrong with, like trying to do some things, especially, if Some people are actually believing in it. Sometimes it does matter, I feel like. Amy, Yahoo! Ayan. Oh my God. Ayan. And this is a story from my admin. Yung katrabaho ng nanay ko, nakita niya walang ulo si nanay. Buti na lang, alam niya kung ano gagawin pag nakakita ng ganun. Tinawag niya nanay ko ng pasigaw at nilagyan niya ng sombrero. Hala, ganun? Kaloka naman. Ako nakakita na ng sobrang laking aso. Itim nung buntis ako, nakaharang sa hagdan. Ako. And admin ni IC, really? Eto IC, personal experience namin magkapatid to. Galing kami sa isang event ng church namin. Parang nagkaroon ng spiritual gift awakening sa mga uma-attend. Tapos, nung pauwi na kami, napadaan kami sa isang abandoned building na ginawang school. That very moment, alam ko na something is following us. Nasa unahan ako tapos likuran ko sister ko, naglalakad kami pa uwi. Natatawa ko sa'yo, BF. Uy, ako din natatawa sa sarili ko, guys. Pinipigilan ko lang. O, diba? Trying true to myself. O, diba? Ay, diba? I'm trying to stick with, like the theme. Because if I don't, I'm not gonna be able to scare you guys. Ito naman hinihintay ko yung kwento ni Board eh. Nasa zone ako eh. Ikaw papansin ka talaga, BFF. I'm into so much zone. You're ruining it. O, di ba? Same tayo, sis Rian. O, di ba? Hindi kasi kayo sanay. Ganun yun. Ayan. Okay, we're gonna do this again. So this is from board vlogger experience. So personal experience of board vlogger. So when they were attending an event in the church, they were like when they're going home, they passed in an abandoned building, and he felt that very moment that he felt somebody is following us. And sometimes it does happen to every one of us. Sometimes there's a moment when you're like walking alone, or like when you're walking in some scary places, you always feel like somebody is following you. Or even if it's not in an abandoned building or in a scary place, sometimes that's why we sometimes people says, like the third eye, or people says like they feel somebody is looking at them or somebody is following them. That's what Board actually felt at that very moment. So he was walking in front or in the back of his sister when they were going home. So there's a blog when they finally got home, or before they got home, they stopped and ayun, ang hirap naman itong i-translate. Okay, basahin ko na lang guys ha. Pakakapagod eh, pala kayo dyan. Ayan. Isang kanto bago makarating sa bahay namin. Huminto ako tapos lumingon ako sa likod ko. Sinabihan ko kapatid ko na umuna ka nga. Tapos tinititigan ko likod ko, wala naman. Hanggang nang makauwi kami, nung makarating kami sa bahay, sabi sa akin ng kapatid ko, Kuya, naramdaman mo din pala? Sabi ko, oo, may sumusunod sa atin. Lumabas ako ng bahay, nag-cast out kami kasi ramdam namin sinundan kami. Eto pa. Galing ko ba? Ayan. O, diba? Hintayin natin yung kasunod. Ayan. The night before that happened, napapanaginipan ko the exact same thing happened. Sinundan kami hanggang bahay. Parang ano to guys, yung scary story. It's supposed to be scary, but then you're gonna laugh at the end. Diba? Because I'm the one telling this story. No, but guys, ayan. So also there's another thing which is called deja vu. Like sometimes when you feel like the exact same thing already happened over and over and over again. And it's one of those things that you felt like, like this already happened to me. But there are actually people that says like, like when things happen to you, it means like your spirit when you're sleeping is roaming around. That's why there are things that you felt like seems familiar because you've already done it. So that means board vlogger and her sister have the same exact dream at the same exact time. So when they woke up, then when they got there, it feels like they have the same experience. They didn't know, guys, that the person that they're feeling that following them are actually them. Oh, diba? Ang galing ng utak ko. Yoko na! Ayan. Premonition na pala yung dream ko. Babala na something will happen the following day. Oh, now I'm interested. Naku, hindi ako makakapag-CR nito mag-isa. Matatakotin pa naman ako. Akala ko ba hindi ka matatakotin? Ayan, admin. O, diba? So, also, another thing is when you're dreaming, sometimes when you're dreaming, there are things that sometimes in your dream, and according to the old saying, things that you dream, like in the Philippines, another thing is like when your teeth, when you dream of your teeth is falling or something is like pulling your teeth off, that means someone in your family is going to die or somebody will get sick. And, for me, I feel like this is true because usually when I dream about this, and I always have, I feel like I'm one of those lucky ones that I actually remember my dream. I actually do have vivid dreams that I could actually tell a story the next day. So, most of the time when I have this dream, it feels real to me. So, if it's something about my teeth, I would tell it to my mom. And then sometimes my mom would tell me, like, it's either, like, that's why I feel like this is true because, the moment I said that, we're going to have news that somebody in our family is either sick or somebody just passed away. So, one of the things that I feel like, I think that's my talent. Oh, 'di ba? Naging talent bigla. Ayan, napapagod na siguro si Board. Kasi naman ba't walang kuryente Board eh, 'di ba? Eto, experience ng friend ko. Nasa kasarapan siya ng tulog niya nang bigla siyang magising kasi ang bigat ng pakiramdam niya. Pagmulat niya ng mata, nakadungaw mismo sa mukha niya yung demon! Ay! O, 'di ba? I don't know if that made you scary or that made you laugh. Parang hindi ko to kaya, guys. Parang feeling ko comedy yung lumalabas. Ano ba, guys? Maybe board vlogger will make more justice than me. Kasi si Rian eh. Ayan, si BFF eh. She's not taking me seriously, guys. Si BFF. That's why I actually feel like I couldn't do this. O, diba? May pa ganun. Nag-emote pa. Oh my God. That's like one of the stories, actually. Those are actually one of the stories that, sometimes, like, just imagine, guys, just imagine. Imagine for a second. Just imagine for a second. Like in Japan, usually, or, and when I'm saying this, imagine that you're in it. Okay, guys. So, when you live in Japan, usually our sink, in the kitchen sink, it will be your sink. And then, usually, most of the time, there always going to be a window in front of the sink. And usually, most houses, when you have that kind of sink, usually they'll put a mirror in front of the sink. because that's where you brush your teeth. Because usually it's a small space in Japan, so you don't really have a space where a lot of other big houses you have a sink to brush your teeth. In Japan, we don't. So you usually use the kitchen sink to brush your teeth. That's why there's always a mirror in front of the sink and a window. So, one of the things that sometimes I always feel like, and this actually usually happens, is at nighttime. Of course, I'm a woman, like when I wanted to go back to sleep, I'm gonna clean my face. And when it's summertime, I usually open the window where the mirror is. So, usually, I feel like if I go wash my face and look in the sink, I feel like if I go look into the sink and go to the mirror in front of me, I feel like there's always going to be a different face in the mirror. And if not in the mirror, I feel like in the window, there's always going to be eyes looking at me back. That's why most of the time, at nighttime, I cannot wash my face without humming or without calling my husband, you know. And ayan, natawa tuloy ulit ako guys. Ano ba yan? Hala, 'di ba? And eto, totoo ba yan? Bored from Shirley. Happy Halloween guys. Sana makatulog tayo ng mahimbing mamaya. Ayan, Shirley. Yes, yes. Those things happened after nung spiritual gift awakening namin. Pero imbis na fear ang maramdaman namin, nagkaroon kami ng lakas ng loob to fight kasi nabuksan yung senses and faith. Oh, yes. Usually it what happens. Hala, totoo ba yan? Ang scary. Yes. So those are the things that actually makes me really, 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 really scary to some extent. And of course, that thing, like what Board says, sometimes when you're sleeping and when you're alone, sometimes you don't want to open your eyes because it feels like someone will be in front of your face looking at you. And usually, my husband is usually does these things to me, guys. He knows that I am scared of the sink. He knows I'm scared of the mirror and the window. So sometimes I would wash my face and he would creep in my back, without anything, without any sound. And then like while I go and get up or like get like this. I don't know how to say that in English. I would see his face in the mirror and it'll scare the shit out of me. Or sometimes, like my kids, sometimes because sometimes I couldn't hear things very clearly. If like I'm cooking or something, they will creep in my back and then whisper something in my ear. I don't have any experiences like that. Yeah, me too. I usually don't. Ayan. And so scary naman po ng topic pang Halloween talaga, idol. Ayan. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you naman sa inyo. So, we're going to this next one, guys. Ayan. But before that, guys, alam nyo ba na isa sa signs na may demon sa paligid, yung biglang sumasakit yung ulo at may amoy na nabubulok na karne. Naranasan namin yan magkakaibigan. Sabay-sabay. Oh, baka may umutot na. Biglang ganun. Pasaway din ako no? Hindi ginagawang katatakutan yung mga bagay-bagay no? Yung pala ako yung numero unong takot pala no? Ay, okay guys, okay. Serious. I'm getting serious na guys, okay. Okay, okay. Okay, serious. Okay. Let's get serious, guys. Ayan, serious na serious si board kayo, guys. Eh. Kasi naman kayo eh. So we're going to the next one, which is what is one of the things that actually also another thing. And if you ever experience these things, please, please, please share your experiences. Ay, sabay-sabay kami biglang sumakit yung ulo. Tapos yung iba di makahinga sa amoy. Yun pala, pinabalaan na kami na yung pupuntahan namin na bahay inaanihan ng bad spirit. Ito naman tong mga to eh. Seryoso si board. Huwag kayong ganyan. Ito naman. Ayan. Pero that's true. Like, I think, like, they call it like, what's the word? Like, when it comes to bad spirits or like when you watch some supernatural or like paranormal stuff, there's one thing like sulfur. They call it sulfur. Like if you smell something sulfuric, it means like devil or like bad spirits. And that's one of the reasons, like in Japan, we put water on the side of our houses or on the corners, or as well, like in other culture, like one of the things that I've learned throughout the years is like put salt, put salt because evil spirits, we like devil and like evil aura or anything like that, they are scared of salt or something like that, or something it does kind of like it, they don't like it. So that's one of the things that make you things like do that. Yeah. So another thing, ayan, keeping up with the Sean and Irene, thank you, thank you, thank you to you. Ayan, thank you guys. And then another one, guys, is so there's also another one, which is, ayan, according to the people of the Philippines, we call something aswang. So aswang is probably the most popular elemento or element or entity in the Philippines, and I agree with that. Ayan. These creatures are like vampires who suck blood dry from their prey. They can also change appearances and shape shift into animals, usually a large bird, dog, or a hog when they need to escape. That's actually like a lot of stories when it comes to aswang. And actually, in the Philippines, there's one place that is very, very popular, and I don't remember what's the name. What's the name of that province? But there's one province or one place in the Philippines that basically it becomes super known that if you are from there, may lahi ka ng aswang. Something like that. Or you come from, this kind of element or this kind of people. You are one of these people that suck blood or eat people, because you are an aswang. So, ano nga yung lugar na yun? Nagsisimula sa S yun, alam ko eh. Ayan, pagdating namin dun sa bahay, ang dilim ng ora. Tapos yung teacher na may-ari ng bahay, biglang pinapalayas kami. Tapos galit sa amin. First time niya kami makita. Yun pala, 2 weeks nang hindi makontrol yung teacher na yun ng asawa niya. Di niya din kilala mga anak niya. Agoy, katakot naman yun, Port. Ayan. So, that's another story where, like aswang is one of the things that I actually kind of like scared to eat liver back in the day because we have these tons of stories in the Philippines. Sikihor. Yes. So if you are, and this is just a stereotype, guys. This is disclaimer, guys. It's not true. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. But like growing up, as a kid, when you're from Sikihor, some people would just assume that you're an aswang, which means, an element or an entity that are like vampires in other culture. monsters. So if you're from there, usually those people got bullied and stuff like that because they come from the genes of people who suck blood dry from their praise. And usually these are people, you know. Siguro, 2 hours kami andun sa bahay nila nakikipag-battle through prayer. Oh, Capiz. Another one, yes, Capiz is another place where a lot of people seems to think that all of the people that comes from there are Aswang. And a lot of stories, like if you meet any Filipino, they'll tell you stories of Aswang. And at least for me as well, like Amy earlier, she was talking about like when she was pregnant, she kind of like saw a black really large dog, which is usually, according to the old tales, these are people actually that, they shape shift, to either escape or because they're trying to kind of like hunt. They go to a hunt or something. Eto, fun experience ng lolo ko sa probinsya. Di ba? Pati yung hahaha binasa talaga board. Hating gabi, natatae yung lolo ko. Di naman uso yung matinong CR nun. So, tumae siya sa damuhan. Paglingon niya, nakita niya malaking taong itim nakasandal sa puno ng nyug. Tapos tumakbo siya para kumuha ng itak. Pagbalik niya, wala na yung nakita niya. Isip ko, nakapagpunas kaya dapat yung lolo mo. Baka ganyan, kinuha yung itak. Agoy ka, board, kaloka. Ayan. But these things happen, like there's a lot of stories. Like this is really like fun stories, scary stories as a kid, but it's usually really, really good because it comes from, like a rich culture. I think for me, it comes from a rich culture. It doesn't have to believe in it, but it just kind of like make me feel like knowing all about this culture makes me feel like I'm Filipina. Ayan. Hindi na nakapagpunas na, na, nataas niya naman yung ano niya. Kaloka. O, diba? Ayan. But those things happen. And I don't know if you ever, like, like we have this movie in the Philippines. We call them Shake, Rattle, and Roll. And this is one of the things. Ayan, natawa to. O, diba? Hindi na kayo natakot. O, diba? Kanina tinatakot kayo ni Board. O, ngayon napatawa kayo. But one of the things that actually like kind of like got stuck with me throughout those scary stories back when I was a child is like there's when it comes to Aswang is like if you kind of like go to these places that we talked about, they would make you want to eat a liver, like soy sauce based liver. And if you eat it, you're gonna turn into Aswang, which what we're talking about right now. So knowing that and knowing a lot of stories behind that, I felt like growing up, I stopped eating liver if I didn't do it. Like if it is offered to me by somebody or if it is from a cafeteria, karinderya, I usually don't eat liver from a person that I didn't know or cooked by someone that I don't know or a stranger to me, even if it's not a stranger, but if I just feel like they have lahing aswang for some weird reason, these types of stories makes me feel like I don't want to eat liver if it is not done by me or the people that I trusted because I don't want to be an aswang. So I don't know if ever you've heard that stories, like eating liver is part of you being aswang or like you're gonna turn into like them. So one of those stories is like that I kind of remembered. So it's been like years of like trying to get out of that kind of mentality as well. But I was really scared. So another thing is Bungisngis. Ayan. Bungisngis is also known, as Mahentoy. So in the northern part of Davao, ayan mga taga Davaoenyo, ayan mga taga Davao, kaway-kaway, mega mega love shout out to you guys. The Bungisngis is a one-eyed giant who lives in the forests and woods. It is a happy and a playful cyclops, although it looks really scary. And when it's near you, you will hear it giggling, hence the name. Ooh, Bungisngis. I don't think I've ever heard about Bungisngis, a giggling monster. So I don't know. Maybe I don't. I don't. How about you guys? Have you ever heard of Bungisngis? Because for me, I don't know. I've never heard of Bungisngis. Like for me, I think, people would think I'm Bungisngis because I always laugh, even if there's nothing funny. Like right now, I'm supposed to be serious, telling you scary stories, but for some weird reason, I know. I know. I'm just like that, guys. Sometimes I just like laugh when I'm scared. I laugh when I'm nervous. I laugh on everything. Maybe I come from Bungisngis family. Ayan. May ganyan pala Bungisngis. Ngayon ko lang din yan nalaman. 'Di ba? Oh, 'di ba? Ako din. So another one, guys, is Tiktik. Oh, 'di ba? This is one of the things that I actually pretty much heard a lot about because it is related to people who are pregnant. And if you have an experience, because I do have an experience with Tiktik. Oh, 'di ba nakapunta sila ng Japan? Never heard. Oh, never heard of Tiktik. Ay ng Bungisngis. Yes, I've never heard of Bungisngis either. Maybe because it's from the south, from Davao. But Tiktik, ayan, Tiktik are shape-shifting elementals who can transform into animals, usually a giant bird. And before they attack you, you will hear a faint tick, 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 tick from a distance, but don't let it fool you. If the sound of the tick tick is louder, tick, 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 it means it's far away. But if it gets quieter, tick, 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 means the creator is right behind you. Ooh, I actually find this very interesting because when I was in the province, I was actually had an experience about this. Ayan, yang tiktik, alam ko yan. May na-experience na ko yan sa Quezon. May kaming buntis noon. Yes. And the thing is, like I also had a personal experience about this because, like we had like a person who is pregnant. And at the time, like we didn't really know that she was pregnant. So when we were sleeping, we were hearing this loud tick, tick, like it's very, very loud. So all of us, like because we're just sleeping on our own, like we kind of grew up knowing about tick tick and how, like if you live in the province or if you are visiting in the province, it's very, very prevalent that there's tick tick in that province because they usually are from the country, they are not from the city. So all of us are trying to wonder, that doesn't sound like, like gecko or anything at all, but it gets louder and louder. And then it becomes quieter and quieter to the point that we're like looking at each other and we're trying to think of like who is pregnant or something like that. And then, like at that point, because nobody knows, but when it finally come out, that makes it, like more of it, like we actually did experience that because at like later on, we found out that she was pregnant because of the Tiktik. So it's very, very scary when you have that kind of experience because sometimes, like stories like this, sometimes, you think it wouldn't be believable because like they're it's kind of like but there are really things out there that you just cannot really explain. And Neil's Arsenal Vlog TV, I see, mahal ko, salamat sa massage. Minasage pala kita. Niels, di ko alam. O, 'di ba? Sa akin, o, 'di ba? Ayan. Kaya, pagbuntis sa probinsya, lagi nagsasabit ng bawang sa mga bintana at nagsasabog ng asin. Ako, Icy, nakakita na ako ng UFO at shokoy at santil dun sa Cebu. Ooh, mermaids. Oh, another one. Ay, so what happened? What happened, Niels? So those are the stories. So like for English speakers or English viewers, these are the things that you can actually hear, like when you are in the Philippines or at least if you ever lobat na isang phone ko. Ay, ano ba yan? Nakakaasar naman tong ilaw na to. Akala ko pa naman aakyat si board today. O, diba? Ayan, oo, massage. Massage. Message, ayan, yes. Oo naman, of course. From time to time, I do check, ayan. So if you want to like connect with me, guys, I do check from time to time, but I'm not usually into, like I'm not usually super active on messaging apps or social media. So just message me if you have something to say. So, and then I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Something like that. I am. Walang anuman, Niels. O, diba? Thank you, Niels naman. And happy Halloween, Niels, to you. Ayan. Ano ba yung sinasabi nila sa Tagalog kapag yung you're trying to like give respects or something like that. Mali pagpindot. Okay lang yun, Niels. Niloloko lang kita. Ayan. So, another one is, guys, ayan. So, Tiyanak. Oh, diba? Ayan. Actually, you do have the same thing in Japan as well. Like with these things actually. Like, they're same stuff. And I don't know, it's like in other culture, I don't know even if you have ever or if you have anything type of like this as well. But Chanak is if you're out in the woods and you hear a baby crying, then that's definitely the work of an elemental called Chanak. Ayan. So it is said that if you follow where the crying is coming from, you will see a helpless little baby in the middle of the forest. Once you pick it up and carry it, it will turn into a monster and devour you. This one, I don't think I've ever had like any experience of someone or like I usually just hear this type of stories of Chanak when it comes to like movies, but I've never heard of these like, from a person that I've known, like or family friend or like, back in the day. So I don't know how true is this, but I feel like, these are one of those stories that I feel like growing up it usually is really scary. Like especially when you hear cats. Sometimes cats sounds like a baby crying their guts out. So sometimes when you're like, like in a very dark place or like, in a alley or something, sometimes cats would like grow like a baby. And sometimes this pops into my head sometimes. And I feel like, like if I look closely, it might be a baby. But, like what if it's a Chanak for real? Like what am I supposed to do? Ayon, I see ang Halloween hindi dapat i-celebrate ayon sa kasulatan. Ayan, ayon sa kasulatan, yes. O, diba? Ayan, yan, tiyanak, pag malakas ang iyak, nasa malayo. Pag mahina ang iyak, nasa malapit. Oh, so any one of you guys ever experienced like Chanak, like these things? Because I've never really heard. I've never really heard of any stories about Chanak, really. So I don't know. Hindi totoo yang tiyanak, IC, pati aswang, dahil di ko pa nakita yan. Gusto ko makita yan. I know. That's what I'm saying, There are things that, these things, happens because of, like stories. It's a stories that comes from something. You either believe it or you don't. But it's part of our culture. It's part of like kind of like Filipino culture. So it's kind of like it's just nice to know these things and kind of like share, the folklore. Like especially with me, I like folklores. I like folklore stories, mythological stories, anything of that sort, like myth, like stuff like that. I like those stories and behind, like why is it like that? And I just love stories. As you know, guys, I like talking. I like conversation, and this is the type of conversations that I like, especially if it's Halloween. I like sharing stories of horror stories, scary stories. I usually try to sleep. It's like a midnight stories for me. It makes me fall asleep for whatever reason because I'm weird like that. Ayan. So, another thing is, ayan, meron pa tayo, manananggal. I wonder what's the difference between manananggal and tiktik? Because the thing is, I think tiktik is only for pregnant people, but also manananggal is the same thing. So, is anyone of you knows what's the difference of manananggal and tiktik? Kasi ako, hindi ko talaga alam kung anong pinagkaiba ng dalawa. So, ang manananggal raw is originating from the south. The manananggal are the another type of elemental or entity that has the ability to separate itself from its human torso. So this is the one that's in my thumbnail, guys. So I don't know if you're anything that if you have the same thing in your country where you come from, but we have this thing like the body of a woman is cutting in half. So there's another thing as well in Japan where there's a story about this thing as well in Japan, except that she doesn't have wings, but also her body cuts into half. So we're gonna talk about that as well. Ayan, mangkukulam. Totoo, IC, dahil lahi ko mangkukulam at tiktik. Totoo, nakita ko na yan. Ay wow, anong pinagkaiba ng tiktik at ano yung pinagkaiba ng mananangkal? So yung tiktik, yung malaking ibon ata. Oh, so tiktik is a big bird. Manananggal, ayan yung nahahati yung katawan. Yung tiktik, yung parang ibon na mahaba ang dila. Oh, so they are said to roam around at night looking for pregnant women so they can eat their fetus. In disguise, they can take the form of an old woman. Me too. Gustong-gusto ko makinig ng mga kwento ng mga ganyan lalo na sa experience ng nanay ko, tita ko at ng lola ko noon. Exactly. As I've said, guys, we come from a family of like having stories like this. Like my mom has like my mom on the side of my mom, they have this really strong kind of like presence when it comes to supposedly like the spirits, like they can see spirits. Like my grandma has tons of stories about spirits, and then my mother has a ton of like ghost stories, especially when she's in Japan, especially actually when she was with me as well, when we were together as well. There's a lot of ghost stories from her that I've heard of, but I've never really had one. So I don't know if it's because, like, the same thing as when you believe in something, it does happen. But when you don't believe, usually you just don't pay attention to it more. So I don't know how much of that is true. Musit, nagulat ako sa kumakaway sa likod ng screen na yan. di ba? Bahala kayo dyan. Ayan, nagulat ka dyan, Jensky. Ayan. UFO, santil mo, Shoko. Ano yung santil mo? Shoko'y tiktik. Yan lang nakita ko, IC. Wow, ang dami naman nun, Nils. Tagasan ka ba, Nils? Ayan, tatay ko nga, idol, ng gamot ng napapatay anak eh. Ano daw? Ibon yan, IC. Ah, Tiktik sa province, nakakita ako nung buntis ako sa puno ng santol, sumalubong sa akin. Hala, Sigbin IC, nakita ko na pinatay ng lolo ko sa bukid nun dahil kinain niya yung mga manok namin. Ano daw? Ibon yung manananggal. Nabigla ako. Santil mo yung apoy na lumulutang. Ah, yun pala yun. Ay, wow naman, ang special naman talaga. Mindanao ako, IC. Asawa ko, Pampanga. Ay, wow! Di ba Pampanga? Ano din yun? Ah, that is the reason you have a lot of these type of stories, Niels. Diba? Ano itsura ng tiktik? So, ang tiktik, so ito daw manananggal. So, yung tiktik is like this, supposedly. But according to Board, Tik-Tik is a bird that has a long, 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 long tongue. But at the same time, I thought Manananggal has the same thing. Mayet pa rin na. Mega, 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 mega love. Shout out to you. O, diba? Ayun. Sobrang laking ibon na itim lahat. Galing kami sa liga. Sumalubong sa akin, papunta siya sa puno. Agoy. Actually, when I was like growing up as well in the Philippines, you know those tabloids? They would actually have tabloids of stories, like stories that actually, like they would show like these types of like big birds that supposedly the tik-tik of that kind of stuff. Mas marami sa Mindanao. Oh my God. Diba? So, I don't know what's the difference. That's why I'm thinking, what's the difference between Manananggal and Tiktik? Because it seems like, Manananggal, is it Manananggal because their body is, like cutting into half, while Tiktik usually doesn't cut into half. So, is that the only difference? But both of them usually eats or prey on pregnant people. And the thing is, to kill a manananggal, supposedly you have to kind of like hunt the other part of the body, the lower body, and you're supposed to put salt on the lower body. And that's how you kill a manananggal. Ang pangit, sobrang nakakatakot naman pala. Oh my God. May maganda bang ano? May maganda kayang ano, Amy, no? Napayuko kami ng asawa ko nun. Agoy. Tik-tik, manananggal, ibon. Yung parang uwak na malaki, mga dalawang dipa ang laki. Ah, yun pala yun. Nakakatakot naman, guys. But yeah, so the only thing I think I'm pretty sure, tik-tik are the one that's, make sounds that are tik like that, and then the other one mananagal, they usually don't have, they don't usually create sound if I'm not mistaken. So moving on, Tikbalang. Oh, this is another part that I feel like, this is also like prevalent with other cultures. Tikbalang kasi ang tikbalang is an elemento or an entity who possesses the body of a human and a head of a horse. Tikbalangs are known for stealing women that they like and sometimes inflicting trouble to those who are disturbing their home. Some stories also say that they can grant wishes if you manage to capture one. I've never had Tikbalang episode, but I wonder. Parang malaking paniki yung manananggal. So how about Tikbalang, guys? You know, like, is this true that sometimes they can grant wishes if you manage to capture one? But I've never heard of anything that, like anybody who captures one. I usually heard more of those stories that this, entity or these, like paranormal creatures, if I can call them like that, they usually are the ones who actually haunt women, that they like, because they come from another dimension or another world. So that's what. Tikbalang, di ko makakalimutan yan. Nagkasakit ako ng 1 week nung nakita ko yan. Agoy, we, sang natawa ako dun kay News. We, ito talaga si News, oh. Gusto mo ikaw lang, ganon. Yes, but that's another thing. Like, these are the stories that sometimes, like when you go into the woods or like when you go to a province, sometimes there are like tall trees that sometimes they have smoke surrounding them. And sometimes I feel like, is it because, like, I know some people would say it's a fog, but sometimes it's nice to think that it's not from a fog. Sometimes it's nice to think it comes from because usually with tikbalang, the kind of like the stereotype of tikbalang is they kind of like smoke a pipe or like smoke a cigarette, like a big tobacco cigarette. So sometimes in my head, I feel like maybe it's the tikbalang smoke, they're smoking in the woods or something like that. Nilapitan pa ako sa kubo namin sa bukid. Hinahanap ako kasi umakyat ako sa taas ng kisame. Huh? Umakyat ka sa kisame? Hala? Trensky, anong itsura ng tikbalang? Totoo ba na parang horse kagaya sa picture? Samar Niels. Totoo yung tikbalang. Pala akala ko manananggal, sorry. Ito naman si Nilso. Pero manananggal, hindi ako naniniwala dyan. Yung paa kabayo, yung katawan tao, pero sobrang buhok. So it's like the other way around. Oh, yeah. Nakakatakot yung boses niya as in. Hala, takot. Ayan, kaya yung magagandang mga babae dyan. That's why sometimes, like when you go to the province and, like if you're a beautiful lady in the Philippines, sometimes they would tell you like to spit or like something like that, because, if you don't spit, is it spit? Tama ba yun? Parang kailangan mo daw yung dumura or something like that if you're in a very kind of like, so that you kind of like, get away or avoid these types of entity or like, And another thing as well, like, like there's a thing in the Philippines where when you're walking and someone says Psst, like that, like sometimes like when a person calls you or like when you're out of nowhere or when you're like kind of like in the woods, which is sometimes I feel like, why is it always in the woods, something like that, why it could be in the city, you know but anyways, like in the woods when it's something like that and you hear someone says Psst, they say, according to the old saying, don't look back. Like, don't look, just walk straight. Don't stop. Because once you do, it's either the tikbalang or you'll never ever going to come get home. It's like that. So I don't know if that's the story and if that ever, if you have any experience of the psst thing. But one of the things is those are one of the things that, in my veranda or where I kind of like in the back of my apartment. we have this kind of like big trees, surrounding the apartment. And the thing is, when, like when I get home late from work, sometimes, like I have to wash clothes. And because I have to like hang them outside, I couldn't do it without having any company. Because we have this big tree in the back of our apartment. And I feel like every time I hang clothes at night, I feel like, when you have that thing in the back of your neck, like every hair in the part of your body just kind of like, like gets up, and it feels like somebody is staring at you. And then something makes a noise. I run. I always do. Or sometimes I would even ask my husband most of the time, like, to come with me, keep me company outside, because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't, because of these stories, because of these things. Because I feel like there's someone who would say, Psst, someone would call my name any minute, you know. And also, there's also another story. Ayan, basahin muna natin. Nagsalita pa talaga, Chensky? Yung sound niya, Amy, hindi normal na sound ng kabayo. Di na natin ipagtataka yung mga engkanto, dahil kung marami tayo, mas marami pa sila sa atin, dahil sila yung nauna sa atin sa mundong ito. Dami mo pala experience sa mga ganyan. Oo. Yes, ngayon ko lang rin na-notice, dami ko na pala experience. Naalala ko tuloy yung sinabi sa akin ng manggagamot dito sa bago ko tinitirahan. Agoy, mag-isa ka pa naman, Jensky. Kakatakot yan. Pag namatay tayo, dun na natin masasaksihan yung lahat, dahil makikita na natin ang hindi natin nakikita. Ay, ano ba yan? Nakakatakot ka naman, Niels. Gusto mo talagang makita sila, Niels? Yun yung sinasabi mo pa? Is that what you want? So, another thing, guys, like, so before I live in a place where I live near a park, and usually, like, so if my mom comes to Japan, usually she needs to bike that path where, it's like a park, it's like a huge park. And sometimes she would come home like carrying up, like somebody is like trying to like, like after her, just because, like sometimes when she's biking, she would feel somebody is actually riding on his bike because it becomes heavy. So I wonder, sometimes, when you walk like that, sometimes you would feel when you're walking in something, like it's not even a scary place, Sometimes when you walk alone by yourself, do you ever felt like somebody is just kind of like walking beside you? And I always wonder if it's something of an entity that we actually don't see. Is there actually someone walking besides us? Or like when you're like, because I've heard about this a lot, when your hair in the back of your neck, kind of like, I'm pretty sure there's like scientific, but we're not on scientific facts right now. We're talking about scary stories. So, like when your hair in the back of your neck stands, it seems like they always say something, or something that you cannot see is around you or touching you, stuff like that. And there's actually people that I've met throughout my lives, actually, that they say that they actually see things, and there's one friend of mine who kind of like, he is one of those people that see things, or like see things that is, like, if this is apartment right now, what it was before, or like what happened in the vicinity of an area that he is in. So When he came into this apartment, he would say something like, in this floor, there's somebody looking out, just like there. He's staring, or like she's staring. She's actually right there, right? So who is that? Or something like that. Or he would actually like tell somebody that he never met, you know, and would basically tell this person that he just met, does anybody in your family just passed away? And then he would describe what does it look like. And then obviously the other person would say exactly who it was. So sometimes I feel like I really want to believe that this is true, that they actually does exist, because sometimes it's such a coincidence, and I know, but I like this type of stories. And another story was he would say something like, this place is, there's a man in this apartment, but he doesn't come here. He's in this particular place. And then you find out that somebody actually killed themselves in that apartment. Stuff like that, which really is amazing sometimes and very, very scary. But for me, I think, because I come from a family who actually kind of like, have a very healthy, sense of, like something that we don't see. I feel like my thing is like, if I get into any house at all, if I ever go into your house, like for example, if I go to Neil's Arsenal flag house, sometimes I feel things, like I feel sadness, I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel dark, I feel heavy. Those things I feel, I don't see anything, but I feel like I feel people's aura, or I feel, especially if it's a house that I've been in the first time. And usually these houses that I go to, you know, and this happens all the time. That's why I kind of believe in it, that I have that kind of talent. Is sometimes I would go into a house and then I'll feel so heavy, like I couldn't breathe. And then you'll find out that the people that actually live in that house doesn't like each other. They don't find each other funny, or they dislike each other, or they're in the brink of divorce, or they're just unhappy people. And those are the things that you usually cannot see, because people like to make a front, like they would only show you what they want to show you, but behind closed doors, they won't tell you what's happening inside of the house. So those are the things that I feel like I'm really, really good at. Ayan. Alam nyo, kung nabubuhay pa lang yung pastor na si Soriano sa dating daan, pag dun ka nagtanong, babasahin sa iyo yung Biblia at dun mo mauunawaan. Hindi ako dating daan, pero nasa Biblia lahat ng paliwanag. Oh. At nagpapakita sa inyo ang mga demonyo yan. Lahat nakikita natin. Diba? Katakot naman yun. Ayan. And of course, Sisi Koy! Sisi Koy! And BFF, thank you, thank you, thank you guys. Ha? Thank you sa inyo dyan. Ayan. Ay, tapos na pala si Sisi Koy. Naiwan ako doon. Ay, Sisi Koy, tapos ka na. Iniwan mo ako doon. Naiwan ako doon. Agoy. Ayan. Tapos na pala siya. Ayan guys. Ay, Diyos ko, magdadalawang oras na pala. Okay, bilisan na natin to guys. Ayan. And another one. Ayan. 'Di ba? Meron pa tayo guys. Musta Diyosa? Yes, Sisi Koy. Ayan. And of course, another one. We'll get through this guys. Is Mermaid. Ayan. This is actually kind of nice too. So mermaid sirenas, or mermaids, are the Pinoy version of water nymphs. Nymphs. Oh. These half-human, half-fish creatures often prey on fishermen who lure them into drowning drowning using their lovely voices. Some legends say that they are beautiful, regal creatures, but they turn ugly and vicious once they get you. Ayan, o 'di ba kaloka, ayan. And of course guys, ayan magmahalan kayo diyan guys. If you don't know each other yet, ayan, Neil's Arsenal Vlog, magmahalan kayo diyan. Sisi Koy, lahat kayo diyan sa baba. Ayan, thank you Sisi Koy, ayan. Meron tayong ano ngayon, theme. That's why I'm so serious, Sisi Koy. This is our theme for today. Ayun. And of course, next, ayan, Kapre. Ayan. Kapres or giants, ayan, often found on large trees smoking cigar. Oh, this is probably one of the things that I was trying to tell you guys. These hairy, filthy creatures' favorite thing to do is to scare little children and wanderers. It is said that if you get lost in an unfamiliar place and kept going in circles, a capre might be playing a trick on you. You must reverse your clothes in order to find your way back home. Ayun, yun pala yun. Ayan, tingnan nyo dyan, kinain ko yung sirena sa kamigin. O, oh, diba? Kaloka to si Niels. Ayan. Of course. Ayan, noted na yan, Niels. Of course, titingnan ko yan. Ano ba itsura ng sirena sa kamigin? Nakita ko na yan, promise. Bata pa lang ako, mga 10 years old ako. Agoy, isa pa yan si Sisi ko, yung daming kwento. Ayan, kaya pala kayo talagang magkasundo ni Jensky. Parehas kayong maraming nakikita. Una ko nakita yan, yung nandilisik yung mata, tas mausok yung paligid. Nakakita rin ako niyan, buntis si mama. Naamoy namin yung yosi niya kaya twice nakunan si mama nun. Uy, diba? And of course, Duwende. These are actually ones that very much I'm fond of because these are the dwarves and they're just childlike creatures who often live on trees. You just doesn't know, guys. Duwende. Ayan. Sometimes houses, ayan, they are known for playing pranks on humans, causing them to get sick and other nuisances, especially to those who disturb their homes. That's why whenever you're out in the woods, you must say, tabi-tabi po, so you won't disturb their peace. Oh, I just remember this is where it come from. The tabi-tabi po. And I always said this, like if you're a foreigner, you're going to Philippines, remember this word, guys. Tabi-tabi po. Yan. They remember that because that's definitely one of the things that you usually should remember and say just in case, you know. Ayan. And, ay, yan, di nakakita na ako puti at pula. Walang itim. I think puti is the good dwarfs. Pula, I think, is it pula or black? Is it black or, yes. Si Lola ang may experience a duwende. Exactly. Yes. My grandma has a tons of stories about dwarves. Like, she actually, like, she would ask the dwarves, like, what are the lucky numbers and stuff like that so that she could win in gambles. 'Di ba? Neil, oo nga, ako din naniniwala sa manananggal. Pero manananggal ng pante, naniniwala ako. O, 'di ba? Tita Amy, mega love shout out from Sisi Koy Josa. Alam nyo, pag bata, maraming makikita pero hindi pinaniniwalaan. Kaya ako, naniniwala ako sa mga sinasabi nyo. Pero manananggal, sorry, malabo ako maniwala talaga. Si Nilso, pinaniniwalaan mo lahat. Pero baka naman manananggal ka niyan, Nils. Kaya hindi ka naniniwala, Nils. Kasi ikaw yung manananggal. Hindi, joke-joke lang. Oo, marami panty. Ay, marami niyan dito, guys. But dwarves, like I used to think I'm a dwarf because like my ears, if you didn't notice, I have like super, like super small ears, but it's kind of like this, you know. And of course, I'm like small. So I always thought maybe I'm a dwarf. Di talaga. Uy, marami yan dito. Maraming manananggal ng panty dito. Kaya ako, never talaga ako nagsabit ng panty sa labas namin. 'Di ba? Kasi di talaga. Kasi marami talagang manananggal ng panty dito. Yung duwende, yung puti nakita ko sa taas ng bubong ng bahay namin. Nakangiti sa akin yung puti. Yung pula, nung papunta na ako sa school, nakaharang siya sa dadaanan ko. Ano ba yung pula? Kasi 'di ba may itim. Itim ba yun? Pula ba yun? Oo, I see. Manananggal ako sa cheeks. Agree. Oh, 'di ba? Ayan. So, like dwarves, they could be pranky, they could be like funny. And actually, I've heard about this as well. Like, kapag daw may mga bagay ka yung mga gamit sa bahay. Like, pag nawawala sila, sasabihin ng lola, ay nako, ibigay mo na sa akin yan. Wag mo nang itago yan. Yung minsan maririnig mo yung lola kung may kinakausap na ibang tao. Yung pala, kinakausap ng mga duwende. Kasi minsan daw, ganun daw yung mga duwende. Kapag minsan may isip nyo, bakit pa nawawala yung dito ko lang naman nilagay yun. Bakit nawala? Tapos makikita mo nandun na sa ibang lalagyanan. Minsan daw yung mga duwende o yung mga hindi natin nakikita, yun daw yung mga naglalaro, pinaglalaruan tayo. Kaya minsan din ako noon, pag kunwari may nawawala sa aking bahay. Like for example, dito sa Japan. So yung nanay ko guys, yung mother ko, lagi ko hinahanap sa kanya yung mga gamit, mga bagay-bagay kasi minsan hindi ko makita. Pero alam ko kung saan ko nilagay exactly yung mga bagay na kung saan ko tinago. Pero hindi ko makita talaga. So sasabihin ng nanay ko, ayan, pinaglalaruan ka na naman. Ayan, 'di ba? So marami ng panty ang natanggal niya. O 'di ba? Eh di sinipa mo sana. O, Nils, ako wag mo natanggalan. Wala akong panty. Nils, baka mamaga pa ako, kaya diretso lang lakad ko, di ko pinapansin. Uy, totoo yan. Kaya ba, pag kunwari daw may kayo na duwende, naapakan nyo, kaya nga daw dapat tabi-tabi po. Kasi dyan daw kaya napipilayan or yung di ba, yung mga nagkakasakit sa paa, namamaga yung paa. Dahil daw may naapakan duwende, yung mga albularyo, Diyos ko po, mga ganong kwento, nakakatakot. Ganyan din ako dito sa bahay, kinakausap ko pag may nawawala. Ay, Pinoy galaan at tayo dyan. Ito para sa'yo, Pinoy galaan. Mega, mega love shoutout. O, diba? Ayan, shout out to all. Ako, yung relo ko, kalalagay ko lang sa ibabaw ng ref. Pagkatapos ko uminom ng tubig, nawala na yung relo, kinabukasan ko nakita sa loob ng cabinet ko. Ang ganda ko magbasa guys, no? Ayan, bastos, walang panty, ready to gym pala yan. Pag may nabuhusan, magsusugat yung mga katawan. Oo, yes. Pabili ice cream. Visit kay Josiah. Long time no talk, Pinoy galaan. Dito pa sa isla pero pauwi na bukas. So busy city lifestyle. Ayan, Pinoy galaan. Mega mega love shout out and ha 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 Niels. Ayan, so natapos natin. This is the end of the Filipino culture thing. So there's only gonna be two stuff that I'm gonna tackle when it comes to Japanese. Ito yung mga sa Japanese. Ito yung mga Japanese folklore na medyo paborito ko and like maubusan na tayo ng oras. So, dalawa, susubukan kong talakayin ang dalawa. So, Dahil, yun, gusto ko din naman makilala nyo kung ano yung culture na meron kami dito sa Japan. So, this is one of them. Ayan. So, one of them is the Kuchisake-onna. Ito yung the Slit-Mouthed Woman. Ito yung itsura niya, guys. Ayan. So I don't know if you actually know the story about this, guys. Ayan, ito yan. Ito yung mga Japanese folklore. Ayan. Next isla ako kamikin. O, saan ka ba na isla, Lods? O, 'di ba? Sa ano yan? Shala yan si Sir Galaan Niels sa Turkey. Island in Turkey. O, country. O, 'di ba? Ayan. Ito yung Kuchisake-onna. Yung hanggang dito, yung slit ng ano niya, yun. So alam niyo yun, guys, alam niyo 'to, maraming mga movies, anime, manga, cartoons based on these stories. And, eto from Wikipedia lang 'to, guys. Author and folklorist Matthew Mayer has described the Kuchisake-onna legend as having roots dating back to Japan's Edo period, which spanned from the 17th to 19th centuries. Historian and manga author Shigeru Mizuki considered Kuchisake-onna to be an example of a yokai. Yokai is a term which can refer to a variety of supernatural monsters, spirits, demons in Japanese folklore. So dito sa Japan, same as, sa Philippines, ayan. 'Di ba? Ayan, ganyan yun yung dito, 'di ba? So, dito yan, guys. So, dito sa Japan, usually, parehas lang din sa Pilipinas. We have vengeful spirits which we called onryo. So, ito yung mga medyo yung mga namatay na gustong mag-revenge, even after their death. And, like Kuchisake-onna is one of those spirits and entities in the folklore. So, ang kwento nito, guys, itong babaeng to, o 'di ba? Itong babaeng to. Ganda magkwento, no? Itong babaeng to, may mga iba't ibang kwento. Of course, there's multiple versions of where it comes from. So, yung isang version ng kwento comes from lalakero, ang babaeng ito. So, because she's committing adultery, her husband punished her by slicing her mouth ear to ear. So that was the story. And eventually, because of that, she would come to you in the streets, sa mga kalye. Makikita mo siya sa kalye at tatanungin ka nito if she is pretty. Kapag sinabi mong oo, maganda siya, tatanungin ka ulit niya, am I pretty? Pag sinabi mong oo at naramdaman niya na nagsisinungaling ka, gugupitin niya rin yung bibig mo from ear to ear at papatayin ka niya. So usually, ang kailangan mo daw sabihin, hindi ka rin pwedeng magsabing hindi siya maganda. So kailangan mong sabihin, average lang siya. So may mga ganun. Ayan. 'Di ba? So that's one of the stories. But another story is, yung isang version naman is, may nainggit daw na babae, inggitera, etsuserang palaka, dahil daw sa sobrang inggit niya sa kagandahan nito, tinadtad niya. So, hiniwa niya from ear to ear kasi nga rin daw, yung ngipin daw nito matutulis pero magandang babae. So, dahil sa inggit, ganun din ang ginawa. So, there are multiple versions and as well, there are also like multiple stories from everywhere as well about this. And also, there's actually like, serial killers, murderers that actually, get their kind of like influence on this. So it becomes like that. Yun yung isa sa mga bagay na talagang, this is another story of that. Kumbaga sa Pilipinas, meron tayong tinatawag na white lady. Ito naman yung mga vengeful stories din, di ba? Ito yung mga babaeng na rape, pinatay, tas naghahanap sila ng hustisya kahit patay na sila. So it's kind of like the same stories when it comes to like this, dahil sa kanya. So another one naman guys is eto. If you play games, if you play games like Ghostwire, a lot of, like yokai, yure, stuff like that, entities, one of these is this, this particular entity. Ayan. So, ito yung tinatawag naming Roku. Ang hirap kasi nito guys, parang tongue twister to eh. Rokurokubi. Rokurokubi. Ayan. So, ito yung fully stretchy neck. Kumbaga, if I'm gonna translate it in English. So, another one is yung, ay nawala yung isa. So, there's actually, may magpinsan. May magpinsan tong dalawang to. So, kukwento ko sa inyo. Dito sa Japan, usually, may mga ganito kaming entities na, kumbaga, ang pinagkaiba lang ng onte is yung tipong, where did they come from? But at the same time, when you think about it, it's almost like the same, it's almost like the same thing. So yung etong mga, yung rokurokubi, yung umaano, nai-stretch yung neck. Tapos yung isa naman, lumulutang yung ulo. So dalawa magpinsan sila. Parehas naman sila. Ang pinagkaiba lang, yung nahatak yung ulo na monster na isa is hindi siya masyadong violente. Pero yung isa naman na lumulutang yung ulo, parehas silang babae, yun yung violente na parang sa atin aswang. Kasi sila parang naghahanap rin sila ng dugo na iinumin at kakainin. Pero ang pinagkaiba nitong dalawang to, itong mga to, kumbaga, sumpa naman to. And I don't think, pagdating sa Pilipinas, mayroon din tayong tinatawag na sumpa, 'di ba? Pagdating sa mga ganitong bagay. So sa Japan, may mga ganun din, sumpa. Pero pagdating dito sa dalawang entity na to na pinakita ko kanina, ayan, these things, usually, nagiging ganyan sila dahil sa mga taong nagkamali na lalaki sa buhay nila. Hindi dahil sila yung nagkamali, kung hindi dahil sa mga taong nagkamali sa paligid nila. So like, yung isa, yung humahaba ang ulo, usually, ito yung mga babae na yung mga asawa nila or tatay nila, usually is may ginawang mali at sila yung nasumpa. Kumbaga sa Pilipinas, meron tayong tinatawag na kapag daw yung mga lalaki, babaero, pag nagkaanak sila ng babae, yung karma mapupunta. Parang ganun in a sense tungkol dito sa dalawang to. Pero yung sa lumulutang yung ulo, yun naman yun, yung ganun din naman. Pero usually sila dahil mas kumbaga pinatay sila ng asawa nila or anything like that, sila naman bumabalik. Kaya naghahanap sila ng dugo, ng yung blood to suck or like to hunt is because they want to be like parang sa Pilipinas, white lady. They want to avenge their death. So ito lang yung dalawang pinagkaiba. Kaya pag nakakita kayo ng humahaba, nai-stretch yung ulo, huwag kayo masyadong magpanic. If you come to Japan and if you see a woman who has a stretched neck like this, don't be afraid because they're not violent. But if you see a woman their heads are floating, then you should run for your lives. Because those are violent. Ayan. So, for now, this is where we kind of end the stories. I know I still actually have more to kind of like share with you guys, but it's been 2 hours and 2 hours of talking scary stories. Ayan, gusto nila mag-revenge. So sad story. Yes. Yes, gusto nilang mag-abend. Tulog na ako, Icy. Love you, Icy. Aw, thank you, Niels. Ayan. Love you, bye-bye. Ayan. Good night, good night. Ayan. And of course, regards sa iyong missize. Ah, diba? And then of course, guys, ayan, si Niels Arsenal Vlog. Huwag niyong kalimutang mahalin. Ayan, may premiere siya din. O tapos na yung premiere niya. Ayan. So, mahalin niyo yan, guys. Ate Amy, laki ng bahay. Sana all. O, diba? So, guys, pagdating sa mga ganitong Halloween, ayan, alam niyo na, guys, stories, scary stories, it's really nice. Don't be scared, you know. Sometimes stories are what makes kind of life interesting, you know, and stories are what makes us kind of like interact with each other. And I know I'm going to do this, you know, like every year I'll do this. So this year, this is just how I kind of wanted to, you know, like kind of like express or kind of like share the Halloween with you guys because this is how I usually kind of like, you know, like feel like being a Filipino as well because, you know, like in Japan, we don't have Halloween. We don't. It's kind of different in Japan. In the Philippines, it's also different. So for you guys sa mga nasa Pilipinas, ayan, alam ko bukas, ayan, bibisitahin ninyo ang inyong mga mahal sa buhay na mga nauna na. Ayan, sana mag-ingat kayo dahil alam ko medyo bagyo pa rin sa Pilipinas o umuulan pa rin, mga wala pang ilaw, 'di ba? Ayan. And wag nating kalimutan yung mga nauna sa atin, 'di ba? Yung mga memories nila, we should really always treasure those things because, you know, like even though they passed away, you know, they become a part of our lives. Ayan. Oh my God, Felipe G. Cat screams at night were creepy enough, and now I know about the Tiyanak. Yes, diba? See you soon, Yahoo! Riyan bukas ang uwi namin sa Pinas. Oh my God, may bagyo ulit padating. Ingat tayo palagi, guys. Yes. So, Felipe G, if you hear those noise and it becomes louder and louder and louder, it means they're far away from you. Just go away real fast. But if it becomes, you know, like it become less and less loud, it means it's really, really near you. And if you see a baby, run because it might be at Chanak, you know. And of course, guys, and also don't forget if you were visiting the Philippines, the word, the phrase, tabi-tabi po. Ayan, tabi-tabi po. Always remember that phrase because that's another part of our culture which you kind of like, you know, like share, you know, the culture that we have, that it means you kind of respect the things that especially if you're going to the province, you know, if you have someone, you know, especially someone that, you know, like you're gonna visit in the country, usually it's better if you actually know how to say tabi tabi po because it's kind of like it will give an image that you kind of like respect whatever kind of like culture or myth that a lot of people in the province has, and one of those things are like the people that we don't usually see in our naked eye. So those are like, how do you pay respects on those things? Doesn't mean you have to actually, you know, like believe in these things if you don't, but there's really nothing that will be taken away from you if you do, you know. Ayan. Oh, 'di ba? Sorry, Felipe G. Too much information today. Ayan. Hindi sa Pinas. How I wish sa Pinas this year makauwi back to Istanbul na kami. Ayan. See you back on YouTube, sir. Josa, kayo din dyan. Ingat kayo. Dito sa amin may kuryente na kaso wala pa tubig. Yes, of course, Sisikoy. Be very, 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 very. Ayan, to all the people in the Philippines, please take care of yourselves. Ayan, please always have your phones, you know, like don't kind of like make your phones out because in case of emergency you probably need that to contact your loved ones. And as well, again guys, happy Halloween. I hope I did justice on our Halloween special, even though I couldn't really keep up with the seriousness and my voice, because Rian, they just laugh at me, guys, and I couldn't keep it all. I hope I did justice on doing these stories and sharing these scary stories. And I hope kind of like make the night, like make the Halloween something kind of like nice and like a story time, kind of like chill time for every one of us. I am Filipino and not Filipino alike, Japanese and stuff like that. I know it's very, very late now over there. We're going to have to go to your family or loved ones tomorrow. Make sure to pay your respects to the people that has gone before us. Love each other, and of course, happy Halloween again, guys, and happy Halloween. And have a wonderful life. Our journey starts now. It always starts every day. Be better every day. You actually did well. Oh, thank you, thank you. And again, I'll see you this coming Wednesday, guys. I'll see you this coming Wednesday. We're gonna talk about different people in the dream, observing people and different types of people that I encountered. So if you are interested in any of that, guys, this coming Wednesday, same time. Sometimes I am late, but I'll be there. We're going to talk about that. I hope you can come as well. And of course, Saturday as well, we're going to do that. And if you ever want to be a guest in my live stream, please do connect with me on my social media as well. It's going to be my pleasure to share your stories to everyone. And again and again. Thank you, thank you. Happy Halloween to all from Felipe G, Amy, ayan, Rians, Pinoy Galaan, Sisi Koy, ayan, thank you to all the people that stay tuned. Maraming salamat sa inyo kahit bigla lang ito. Thank you. I love you all and have a wonderful life ahead of us. Bye-bye guys, and dito sa channel na ito, kayo ang bida. Bye-bye guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you all. Ciao, ciao. Oyasumi guys. Good night. And happy
At the turn, carrying it down. Oh.